Hilchos Yomi, Hilchos Tefillin Parakeh. Today, which is the eve of Zos Chanukah, we've reached chapters Yud Ches, through Chav. Rav Nosson has been explaining in Hilchos Tefillin its connection to what is called Chaim Aruchim, true life. And Rav Nachman explains that the true purpose of sleep, which is an aspect of demise or death, is really to give a fresh start to the soul. In other words, a soul, by virtue of having lived 120 years and passing away in his physical form, returns after that, B'tchias HaMesim, completely rejuvenated because of the break that he had to take in the moments of mortality. His soul goes up to Shemayim, is completely re-energized, and comes down to this world in a form which is far superior and far more spiritual and far more clean and clear, and is constantly illuminated and glowing. Same thing on a minor level is sleep, daily sleep. Daily sleep really is to give a chance to the neshama to go get recharged. Havdalah, like somebody recharges their phone every day, and then come down back to this world invigorated and do the daily avodas Hashem. He says this principle was particularly embodied by David HaMelech, because as we know, David HaMelech never slept more than Shishin Nishmi, which is 60 breaths. Interestingly enough, 60 seconds, which is what a minute is. Whatever we measure how much David slept, it's a machlokas in Gemara, how much time that was. But whatever it was, however limited it was because he did not taste true mortality, demota. This is why one of the reasons why we say David Melech Yisrael Chai v'Kayam. His whole thing was chiyus, and he in this world was not. It wasn't needed for him, that rejuvenation, as if his battery was constantly on. And for us, part of that rejuvenation, especially in the morning, to get going and transfer the illumination of the neshama, which did get energy over the night period of sleep, into our bodies, is through the tefillin. Now, the tefillin also has, as Rav Nosson explains, a long strap that goes up to the tabor. The tabor, down to the tabor, which is the belly button, for lack of a better word, and it's the place where the umbilical cord, of course, is attached and receives its source of life. And he says that the cutting of the reason why a strap of tefillin goes all the way down there, because it symbolizes, it connects to, as it were, this idea that when the baby the umbilical cord is severed, they begin a new phase of life. And the key is to constantly be growing and entering new phases, never to level out. He says the Jewish people, therefore, are compared to the Levana, which is constantly renewing itself. And even when it goes out, it starts to rebuild immediately. Masha'en kein umas olam, which are compared to the Shemesh. That's what they use their calendar based on the Shemesh mostly. And therefore, it's constant, and there really is no sense of spiritual growth or renewal in the same way that Klal Yisrael has. And therefore, the strap of the tefillin, which goes down to the place where the uterus, where was attached to the uterus, the source of life, and the cutting of that umbilical cord means that we've now entered a new chiyus. It's when a baby's really considered fully alive on their own. Ironically, I will parenthetically add that today it's been discovered that the umbilical cord has remarkable kochos to rejuvenate life through its stem cells. Stem cells are basically harvested from the umbilical cord. These are such powerfully energized cells and fluid that the DNA within it is very, very strong and can reproduce itself seemingly endlessly. It's like a hischadshus, and actually, when implanted into an aging or older body or a diseased body with an organ, can actually rejuvenate it. It's actually a little bit of a tam of what Tchias HaMesim represents. And the tefillin connects to that point. That's why one strap has to go to the tabor. That's the explanation of Rav Nosson here in this Torah. And the model of full life is David HaMelech, who lived 70 years. And that's why we say, Yemei Shnoseinu Behem Shivim Shana. But it meant 70 full years. 70 full years, a complete cycle, as it were. And according to Lubavitch Rebbe, by the way, he says you look at that as this, that when you reach 20, you start a new Hischadshus, and then there's a 50 Yovel year period. And Lubavitch Rebbe did point out that the second Yovel is supposed to be even greater than the first Yovel. So that's where we get to 120. One finishes his 70 years, which means that they finished their first cycle of Yovel in their adult age of from 20 on. Then the second Yovel has to be even higher, as is the idea of this Torah. And the second Yovel, which will take you from 70 to 120, is even more accomplished, even more refined, and constant growth. This is also connected to the idea of the Sanhedrin, which had Shivim, 70 rabbis, along with Moshe Rabbeinu on top of him, or David HaMelech on top of his Bezdin. And there is always Chidushei Torah and Ischadshus HaChaim. And this is what gives us Torah's Chaim, to live. The hora'ah of Torah and halacha is Kihem Chayinu V'Erech Yameinu, and that's one of the symbols of the Ritzuos of the Tefillin.